Welcome to this new episode of the Triggre Weekend Masterclass. And this is the fourth and final video I'm recording regarding Petty Portal. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you how you can add a business process within your application. So it doesn't necessarily require information to be registered at that specific moment to support this process. But you can use the information that's already in your application to create a new business process to support. And in this case, what I've added is when people register their sick leave, a lot of times within a specific time frame, you could imagine as a company that you would like to have a conversation with that person. You know, why do you get sick that often? What's happening? How can we support you? Etc. etc. But you don't want your manager to, go through all the sick leaves every Monday morning to check if somebody, has been sick, let's say, 3 times or more in the past 2 years. So we are going to support that functionality within the application because we already let people register their sick leaves within the application, so we already have that information. We just need to use it in a different process. So in this case, what we're going to do is automatically every Monday morning, we are going to check if there are employees who have been sick 3 times or more in the past 2 years. That's the thing that we're going to do. And if that's the case, we are going to send an email to the supervisor telling him or her that that person was sick too many times and that supervisor needs to have a conversation with that person. So let's go to the designer so I can show you how this works. What's important in this case is that we add an additional property to the sick leave, to the employee, not the sick leave itself, to the employee on the date that we notified that person. If we don't do that, every time we do this check, every Monday morning, that supervisor will receive a notification, hey, this person has been sick more than 3 times. So we need to add a notification date so that we can say okay, we only send that notification only once. And so that's what we do at the employee itself. So we have the sick leave talk notification on. When that's filled out, we're not going to send that person, their supervisor, an email anymore. We need 2 things for this, an automation flow and a flow part. And at the end automation flow, we have a scheduled weekly, and we do that every Monday at 11 minutes to 9. So you can set your scheduled trigger in a way that you can, for instance, say okay, it's going to need to be a Monday, and at which time. And then we're going to execute this flow part. So what's in that flow part? Well, let me show you. It would be very unhandy to register 3 sick leaves and then you have to, for instance, wait a year before you can properly test this functionality. With a calculation date, you could state yourself which date you would like to use to execute this logic. So in the normal automation flow, you use the current date, but for instance, in a testing page or a testing phase situation, you could state okay, I'm going to use, next week, in a year from now, 2 years ago, just to check out if the logic works properly. I add the start period, and the start period is 2 years minus the calculation date, because I look back 2 years. And what I also apply here is I'm using the basic population concept. And what I mean by that is I'm going to retrieve or look up all sick leaves of the past 2 years where there hasn't been a talk or a notification in the past year. So you can only have one, sick leave talk every year. That's the concept. So what do I do for that? Well, I check out all the sick leaves. The person needs to be called in after the starting date, and the sick leave talk notification should be smaller than 1 year before the actual calculation date that I just entered. You might wonder what happens if there is no notification date yet. Well, in case a date is empty and you're going to calculate with it in a flowchart, we use the date 1st of January of, year number 1. So it's a very small date. So you have to keep that in mind. So in this case, the sick leave talk notification, if it's empty, it should state, the 1st of January of the year 1. And that's always smaller than, that calculation date minus 1 year. So if it's empty, no problems, this will work as well. What I do is I've taken all the sick leaves that I have, and I'm going to go through a repeat action for every employee that's linked to all those sick leaves. And what I want to do, one of the first steps that I want to do is I want to count how many sick leaves that employee actually had. So I went from a lookup with all the sick leaves. Now I'm going through every employee and want to check all their sick leaves. What's important here is I don't want to retrieve, I want to retrieve all the sick leaves, but I don't want to add the filters regarding the dates again, because I can make mistakes in that. If it changes, I need to do it at 2 places, which, I don't necessarily see right away. So you want to keep those filters only in one place. And that's what I mean with the parent or the basic population that I want to use. So I want to use the lookup that I've created outside of the repeat action, which I just showed you. And I want to use that data, and I use that by using the list contains function. So I want to use all the sick leaves of the past 2 years and where the employee is the current employee. So that's why, when I use it like this, I only need to change the dates and the filters in the first lookup outside of this repeat action. Then I count them. And of course, if it's somewhere between 0 and 2, I do nothing. And else I'm going to create an email. And in this case, I'm also going to create a report in PDF with all the sick leaves, so that the supervisor already has an overview of all the sick leaves of that specific employee. So I'm going to state there the employee name, the start period, and the end date period. As soon as he creates a meeting with that employee, that he can, that he has all the information that he needs. And you can add that real easy in the email. It's in the final step of the wizard. There you go. Do you want to add an attachment to this email? I can state yes. I have 2 options from the flow part or an uploaded file if you would like to use the same file every time. In this case, I want to use the one of the flow part. I can just select the PDF that I just created. There you go. And don't forget, you also need to save the current date time at the sick leave notification date on, because else, like I mentioned at the beginning, the supervisor will receive an email every Monday. Thanks for watching our 4-episode series about making modifications to Paddy Portal. Please click the like button and subscribe to our channel. See you next week for a new series about our template Berry Backoffice.